There is a huge question we're going to talk about today, and that is a question that comes up time and time again. And if you haven't encountered this, you most certainly will. And that is, should you give away your music for free? In general, the answer is no. Okay, thanks so much for joining us today. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the end of the show. But the answer is no. You shouldn't give away your music for free. That is your intellectual property. That is your copyright. But there are instances where it might come up where you have to weigh the option against, I'm getting back end royalties. Should I give it away for free? Should I not? In fact, my first license that I ever did was a free license. There was no upfront money. There were no license fees. The only monies that I made were on the back end, and that was because I had back end public performance income. Every time your song airs on TV, on film, in a trailer, in a commercial, you get back end public performance income every time it airs around the world. That's why it's such a big business, and why a lot of people are turning towards it. If they haven't before, they are now, and it's a great business to be in, and a great way that you can create passive income so that you can have that creative freedom to do what you want. That's what I'm able to do, and I'm very lucky that I can do that, and I'm lucky to be in a place where I can share that with you and teach you how to do the same. So should you give your music away for free? Let's go back to that example I was giving you of the first license I did, which if you know my story, you know that that's from when I worked at CNN, and they needed a theme song for a show, so I threw some loops together, and this is years ago. This was back in 2005. And I gave them a song, and it took a while, but it ended up getting pushed through, and it became one of the theme songs in All Points Bulletin theme for a show called Nancy Grace. There was no upfront money, which is pretty standard if you work for a company like Viacom or Time Warner, and you happen to write a song for them. They're not going to pay you upfront. You get paid a salary to work there, and it's a little bit of a conflict. So that's an instance where there were no upfront fees. So in that case, I gave it to them for free. And I was lucky that I was able to get that back-end royalty income because I lucked out. It was a sample survey with ASCAP, and I lucked out on that. And if you don't know what that is, I'm not going to dive too much into it in this episode, but basically what it means is ASCAP surveyed a certain date in a certain year and a certain time period, and my song happened to be picked up during that time. So they went back retroactively for 2 years and paid me out royalties for that theme song. And it was a healthy payment, $15,000 on the publishing side and $15,000 on the writer side. So it was a big payment, but that was a result of me doing a license for free. I'm not trying to tell you that to encourage you to do free licenses, because that's a very, very unusual circumstance. It's very uncommon for something like that to happen. But there are instances where you're being offered a chance to, let's say, compose a theme song for a show, or I'm going to try to think of some others along the way here, but there could be some instances where you have to weigh what that's worth for you to have that spot versus, if you're going to get the back end royalties, if it's guaranteed, what are those royalties going to look like? How heavily weighted are they? All that needs to weigh into your decision. But usually you should get paid something for doing a license, and there should be some sort of transaction for licensing your music. Now, what do you charge when licensing your music? Well, that depends on if the piece that you're licensing has any copyright history. Have you licensed it before? Is it just sitting on your hard drive? Have you never done anything with it before? In that case, the market has to dictate what the license fee is, the terms and the market, the terms of the deal. And that's what a licensing rep can do for you. They know the market, they know those terms. A licensing rep or a library or a publisher or a label, they understand all the ins and outs of that, and they can negotiate a fair market value for you. That said, you should not give it away for free. And when you're starting out, most likely you're going to have some friends doing indie films and short films, usually going to film festivals or creating something for their YouTube channel. And you've got to ask yourself this question. If they're coming to you and saying, man, I created this video and I really want to use your music, but I got no budget, you have to really ask the right questions. And some of those questions are, oh, okay, you have no budget. So you didn't hire a camera guy. You didn't hire an editor. You didn't hire a director. You didn't pay for your social media marketing. You didn't pay for this and that. You have to really dig in there, because the reality is if that person, that producer who created this product, if they spent money on things to create this film or create this show or this YouTube production, which is really producing a piece of content, a TV show for YouTube, because that's what YouTube is. It's a network, and we're all independent producers producing videos for YouTube. If someone wants to license your music for it and they don't want to pay you anything, if they haven't paid anyone else anything, maybe you can justify it. And if they're a friend, yeah, you could do them a favor. Is it going to help you in any way? Not really. No, you're not. It's not going to bring you one step closer towards getting that big HBO spot or that big trailer spot. Music supervisors don't care to hear, oh, I did a free license for this. I was in this short film here and this short film there. And, I was in this YouTube video. That doesn't matter. What matters really is the quality of the music, but having credits that are real credits, that's where you start to carry some weight with your credits. When you're putting them out there to people, you want to say, I had a placement on Shameless on Showtime, or, I landed the trailer for Mad Max, or whatever it might be. Those are real credits and real placements. Giving away your music for free usually is for something that's not really a heavily weighted credit, that's not going to further your career. So I highly advise against doing that, even when you're starting out. Why do it? Why would you want to give away your music for free? And really ask yourself, well, I just want a credit. Okay, well, what does that credit do for you? How does it further your career? How does that credit further your career? Experience is one thing. If you're doing an internship for somebody, if you're learning from them, that's different. You're doing a free internship. If it's an unpaid internship, you're learning from that person. You're gaining something, and you can use that experience to further your career. Giving away your music for free and just licensing it for free and not getting paid an upfront license fee, it's not going to likely do anything for your career, unless it's one of those situations I mentioned where it's like, you're just starting out and a big TV show comes to you and says, we want you to write the theme song for this show, but we don't want to pay you for it. So take it or leave it. Then you got to ask yourself, do you want to leave that or do you want to take it? If it were me, I would take it. But you want to be sure that they're telling the truth, that there really is no budget for licensing a song for that show. And the reality is, in a situation like that, more often than not, the production company is going to want to own the song. They're going to want to own the publishing on it. It doesn't mean you won't get writer share. You'll still get your writer share performance income, but they'll want to own the publishing and collect on the publisher share. And that's pretty common for a TV show. To my knowledge, for a TV show that and I haven't licensed a lot of theme songs other than my own. And in the case of my own, they asked to own it, and I said no. But I had some leverage because I worked there, so I was able to do that. But they will ask, and that's where having a licensing rep or an agent to ask the right questions, working in your corner, that's where that's really valuable. So TV shows, no, you don't want to license your music for free. Films, no, you don't want to license your music for free. I've done it before. When I was starting out, I did a lot of gratis licenses. It didn't do squat for me. Really didn't. It didn't further my career. When I really started getting activity was when I started doing real deals with real licenses. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It's a sign of good faith. Like, hey, we have a really, really micro budget. We've only paid it, the other artists in this $500. We can really only afford to pay you $250 because it's all we have left. Then you got to weigh it out. Something is something. It's a show of, we value your music. It's this, if they don't pay you something, if they don't exchange money for your music, how do you know they really value it? Or are they just wanting to do the deal because they get it from you for free? So it's, it's just the way of the world. Money creates value. And if you're getting paid for something, suddenly your music does have value. It creates actually a copyright valuation. And based on that deal, you can build other deals. So if you license to a project and you do $1,000 license, let's say I'm going to use TV as an example. If you do $1,000 license for a TV show, and then 2 months later you get another request for the same song in a similar TV show, similar kind of network, and they say, we only want to pay you $500. Well, now you can use that previous license as a negotiation. oh, thank you for your offer. I really appreciate it. A couple months back, we did a license for a similar show and they paid us $1,000. So I'm really going to have a hard time letting it go for $500. That's really not what it's worth. And the person you're explaining that to will understand your justification because you have a copyright value at that point. There is a valuation created by past licensing history for what you've done, not to mention those back-end royalties that are going to come in tied to that copyright. There's a valuation based on that. And I think your royalty valuation, I don't know where it's at today, but it used to be like a 6 time or 10 times multiple. So if your performance royalties are coming in at $100, if you have $100 in performance royalties a year, then your valuation is, $600 to $1,000 of your total value. So I would come to you and say, I'm going to pay you $600 to $1,000 based on your current valuation of your royalties, and I'll give that to you as a buyout for your royalties. And that's what people do when they're going to sell their catalogs. They get a proper valuation on how much their catalog's worth and valued. And doing free licenses usually doesn't help your valuation. It doesn't. So, should you do a free license? No. Trailers, there's no reason to do a free license to a trailer. I don't see the point in doing that. Trailers, the royalties in trailers aren't going to be as much as TV because they don't re-air as much. There's not reruns or syndications of trailers. And same for ads. There's not reruns of ads. They run for, a certain time period. They run for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 3 months, and then they're usually done. With TV shows, they're revitalized and they're repurposed and sold to different networks and redistributed, and they're syndicated and they air around the world multiple times throughout the course of, decades. So with TV, there's a lot more performance income to be made, a lot more back-end royalties. So in TV, there's a little more leeway with license fees. For that reason, the license fees tend to be lower because the back-end royalties are better. Video games. Video games, there's really not royalties for, other than the per sale, but there's the per sale royalties if it's a distributed disc that includes your song on it. But as far as public performance royalties, which is what we're talking about, there's not really public performance income because everyone's playing it at their house. It's not really a publicly performed thing. So with video games, that's more of a reason to not give away your music for free for video games. Trying to think of other instances where you would give it away for free, and I can't because it's really not something I'd advise to do. And those are my reasons why. So that's really it. I don't have anything else I can think of to talk about related to giving away your music for free. Again, you can do it for a nominal amount. If someone has a low budget, you just ask them, well, what's your budget? What can you afford? And if they say we can only afford this, say, all right, well, is that what you paid other artists similar to me in the project? And if they say you're the only artist in the project, then it's, oh, okay, well, then I appreciate you coughing up some money for me. I appreciate that. That shows me that you value what I'm offering to your project. And the idea there isn't that you're just doing one sale and it's done. It's that you're giving them a song to support their project, let's say a film. And as that film does well, if that film does well, usually they'll go to film festivals and distribute it in front of producers and distributors and people looking for films to purchase or to acquire for distribution. And if that film does well and gets a distribution deal, well, it may be a minuscule part, but part of it is because of that scene that used your song. And your song created value to that film. It added the mood. It touched on the right emotional chords in the individual that was watching it that resulted in them wanting to make an offer on the film. It could have been your scene that did that. It could have been the end title use that really just connected with them and reeled them into the film. Music, as you know, is a very powerful thing. So that's why you wouldn't give it away for free if someone's trying to sell a film and your song's included. Your song helped do that. It may not have been the main thing, but it did serve a purpose to help get it there, even if in a tiny way. And you should be compensated for that, for your intellectual property. So, and the same with TV shows and YouTube videos who are looking for likes and, they're monetizing their YouTube videos with YouTube and getting paid ad dollars for those videos. And if they're using your song, why should you not get paid for that? If they're going to do a license with you, that they're then going to go make money off of that video, why should you not get paid for that? Something to think about. Thanks so much for listening. Please leave us a review. That helps us out a ton with rankings, and tell your friends about us. And, I'm here to serve you and try to help you learn how to do what I've done, which is create a space where I can create freely what I want to create. And I earn passive income from all the years and years of licensing that I've done, licenses for a whole variety of genres of music in a variety of media. Thank you so much for watching. Peace. If you're interested in getting your songs into your favorite TV shows, films, commercials, trailers, and video games, you're going to want to check out the free guide below.